everybody. My name is Tracy Heilers. I'm founder and executive director of Coalition of Schools Educating Mindfully. And for this conference session, I really wanted to get to know this educator better. And she was originally going to do her presentation live. And then when we switched to virtual for our conference, she was going to do pre-recorded. But having met her at a few other events, I offered her the idea of having a conversation in more of an interview style, because that's how we roll at COSM. I just felt she'd be a great example of a mentor, like a mentorship session versus just, a more formal PD session. So, and why don't we get started here? And I'm going to let Dina Evans let's just start with a quick intro of your professional role and lead us in a short centering practice, and then we can dive deeper.
Sure. Well, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity and sharing this space with me. Tracy, it's been delightful to be a part of COSM and enjoying this journey with you, and appreciate this opportunity of going out of my box in an interview. So, I am a public school Title I reading specialist in my 11th year at Mount Pleasant Elementary in a suburban school in Wilmington, Delaware. My school is very much a family oriented. We're very supporting and very family oriented, both in our community and with our students. It's extremely important that we take care of our kids. We have very deep pockets of neglect and trauma, but we also, under one roof, have a gifted program, emotional support, and regular ed K through 5. So it's a very diverse community, but we embrace it. It's over 750 students, and I absolutely love my job. So this is a grounding exercise that I do often with my kids in the beginning of my time with them before I take them for instruction that is very scripted. It's usually a 30-minute time period, and they enter into my space and they have a seat on a chair, on the floor. I have flexible seating and to accommodate all those different needs. And it is a very small space, but it's a good space at this point. It's a good feeling. The kids feel good when they come. So I call this breathing hands. It's adapted from the Hoberman sphere from Pure Edge, where the breathing ball goes in and out. And I do use the ball quite often sometimes. But I like breathing hands because your hands are there all the time for you. Your breath is there, and it just is easy and quick. So I'm going to invite you to sit tall in your chair and settle into silence, taking a deep belly breath, if that's good for you. Bringing notice to your hands in your lap. And slowly bringing those hands up in the front of your face, pretending like you are holding a small ball. I'm going to ask you to keep your gaze on my hands. As I breathe in, my hands are going to expand and move away from each other. And as I exhale, we're going to release and bring our hands back together. Breathing in. Exhale, breathing out. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, following the breath in, expanding your hands. Releasing, bringing those hands together. Nice and slow and easy. One more deep breath in. Allowing that space between your hands to get bigger, and releasing and bringing it back to that small space. Taking your hands down, returning them to your lap. Returning to your breath for one last deep breath. Setting a small intention for today, maybe keeping your body more regulated, maybe trying harder to remember your vowel sounds, and just being settled overall for our time together today. And when you feel ready, go ahead and wiggle your fingers, go ahead and open your eyes and come back to our space together. So a lot of times I have specific skills. So with the group that I'm working on, so I have them try to really focus on something that they want to work on or become stronger at. So it's a very short time, but I make it work, and it tends to really help the results. If I do a grounding exercise in the very beginning, I get more bang for my buck from the kids. So it really definitely is time well spent and good quality connection, and building the relationship of trust and comfort. So.
Awesome. Yes, I feel more grounded and ready to learn from you. I would really love to start. I do want to dig into all the details of your time with your students and how you found mindfulness to be so helpful. But like most educators, it starts with mindfulness being so helpful to our personal lives. And for me, it was the health issue of infertility, and it helped with that. And that is kind of the fire that keeps me going with this mission, because I know how helpful it was in my own life and now in my kids' life. So can you share a little bit about how mindfulness helped your health journey?
Sure. So about 8 years ago, I suffered some seizure-like activity through exhaustion, through really unknown causes. And I continued to try to find solutions to that. Very aware that I am a fixer, not only for others, but for myself. So I was like, what is really causing this? And it was not something that I could really stop once it started. They were happening at school, which was very traumatic. And they were also happening at home. And I was beginning to see a therapist who was very holistically influenced, and it progressed very fast with her as far as what she was seeing, what she was trying to help me, work through. And it became a deeper relationship than just a therapist. We shared a lot. I did active exercises with her, breathing. And within about, I want to say 2 or 3 years, I've been on this incredible journey of being able to work through the sensations that I had in those, behaviors, that seizure-like activity. And it's been pretty impactful, to say the least. It has changed my life because I do not experience those sensations anymore. And I really own it to a practice and my journey in mindfulness, my trust in others to guide me in this journey with learning, with experiences that I've had, with opportunities that my principal has provided for me. So it really, my colleague and I were provided this option to attend Dr. Jim Walsh's training, and I hopped on board. And within 8 weeks of taking this training, I was really evolving, not only as a person and relationships, but in my teaching. He was so inspiring and encouraging, and he really felt deeply about helping educators. And this was even before COVID. So he continued our journey and kind of checks in with us quite a bit to see how we're doing in these times, which is hugely enriching and comforting as we continue to navigate all this. It just kind of went from there. My principal then said, would you guys like to, I opened his thoughts into the Omega Institute and Mindfulness for Educators. And my cohort that I did the training with, we all went to Omega, and I was in. I was like, done. Changed my life, changed my world, changed my spirit. And the especially ending part of that conference, when I had a really incredible activity with Daniel Reichhaven, I will forever get emotional talking about it. I will forever be grateful for his connection and his presence during that time. It completely embodied me. And so to this day, I honor my principal and him for really continuing and rooting me in these practices and this journey. So I continue to find avenues of training of people like COSUM. I joined Millennium Forum this past year to really continue my own work. That has been hugely helpful and was afforded to us from the Omega Institute, and Millennium's like, you're attending this conference, we got you next year for free. And I was like, I'm in. So just, really embodying new experiences and embracing these opportunities, I just continue to grow. And it has changed me with my sons. My oldest son tried to take his life a couple of years ago. It helped me through that. My wife and I, she works at a friend's school, so we share like-mindedness. It has just been an incredible experience. I'm so grateful. My mom passed away from COVID over, like in the very beginning of COVID, and it's just powerful. It's my drug of choice, that and running, exercising, like they're my drugs of choice. I don't know what I'd do without them.
Oh, that is such a powerful story, and how it continues, how mindfulness continues to help all of us in our lives. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
No, I want to hold a space for a second for what you shared.
Yeah, it's I've come a long way. My family has depression in our world. My mother was a very self-centered person, but my father was my rock, and he passed 12 years ago. But this has just helped me understand ancestry, spirit. They're always with me. They're always in my heart. I honor them every morning. It just, it's enriching stuff.
And then to be able to share the gift every day with students. So it sounds like you have a wonderful principal, and that means the world. There's a lot of people who are trying to bring mindfulness into their schools, and it's not so supportive. But I'd like to hear more about your journey into like those. Okay, so those were your first steps.
Yep.
And I'm supposing you slowly brought it into your role as reading specialist, and maybe share how, what you used to do versus what you do now. And then
Sure.
And you've also talked to me just briefly about how like you wish you could like do like a research project on this. I mean, but who?
Yeah.
Not enough time in the day. But.
Exactly. So as we continue to evolve as a staff in our building, I was very passionate and determined to continue this at the district level. As my comfort level got more confident, I went to our assistant superintendent and said, listen, I don't want this dropped. I feel like colleagues need this. I feel like I have an affinity for this. I feel strongly about sharing this. Been such a life-changing experience for me. I would like to continue this. Could I do a monthly mindfulness session for our district? So I am now in my third year of doing that. And teachers love it because they get hours for it. And I usually begin with a check-in, and then I move to some type of food for thought. And then we have a practice. And the most popular practice right now is a full body scan, which lasts about 30 minutes. And I listen to what they need and I provide it. So that's how I've kind of kept it alive in the district. I also was provided our new teacher training. They brought me in to talk about mindfulness for our new teachers, our new hires. And a little funny story about that was my superintendent came in during that training that I gave, and it was towards the end, and I did a practice of just breathing and grounding, and was also doing a couple like kid related things that they could apply right away if they were comfortable. And he was supposed to present after me. He stood up and he said, I feel like Jello. He goes, I am so zened out. And he said, knowing that my presentation is going to cause these new teachers anxiety, I'm going to let you go and we'll do this later. So he was so present with, understanding that they had had a full day. They were ending with me in a really beautiful place. So it was just hysterical. So, and I was a nervous wreck, like saying, oh my gosh, I feel horrible that you're not, he goes, oh, please, I'm good. I was like, all right. So I'm keeping it alive. Unfortunately, a lot of districts bring initiatives in and are very quick to drop them and not maintain them. And I feel like our district is incredible with that. And just so appreciate their support with my training and just keeping it alive, because our teachers really love it and appreciate it. So, but moving into my space and my role, I have a very scripted set of interventions that I use. That being said, I bring in a lot of my own take on things, and depending on the needs of my kids, I do what they need in the beginning, and I bring light to things that might be happening during our group to bring them to a better awareness of themselves. A lot of my kids are very low, struggling readers, up through 5th grade, still learning to decode. So their motivation, their self-esteem, just their whole being, I want them to feel comfortable in my space. I want them to feel okay that they're struggling. Every student comes to me with a unique backpack of experiences and awareness and trauma, and just being present with that and allowing each new day to be fresh, renewed, and just allowing us to start our day from that moment. Not judging what happened in transition, even maybe from their classroom to my room, just allowing to be present with what's going on in that moment. So my space itself, so I get the kids I'll go back to that. I get the kids from the classroom. So I walk them down, I get them from their classroom. Sometimes they'll meet us in the hallway. I kind of check in with them as I see them. And just, like a quick eye contact, letting them know I see them, I value them, I'm happy that they're present today. I look forward to working with them. There's expectations in the hallway that you're calm, you're, self-regulated, you're quiet. But this is an opportunity that I take to just kind of check in with each one of my students as we transition so that I can get myself prepared for what I might need to do more of or less of moving into our space for that day. And then we get down into my space, which is greens and blues, very nature oriented. I have three, I can send you pictures. I have three big IKEA kids room leaves that kind of hover over my kidney table in my space. I use very small lighting, like I call them firefly lights, so that the fluorescent lights, my bulbs are actually out of those lights. I don't use them, so that there's a softness and safety. My diffuser is always on with usually like a thieves and lavender. The kids notice that. I'm always careful to check in before I do that to make sure they're not sensitive to any of those smells or whatever. But that is almost the first sense of awareness when they come in. I kind of like, some days I'll tweak it and they're like, oh, it smells a little different. I'm like, way to notice. There you go. And then I invite them to sit. And I have nothing on my table. My table is clean, free of nothing, so that, and that's kind of significant to me to show them that this is a new day, it's a new experience, and let's just get ourselves where we need to be in this space. So I will do a grounding activity. A lot of times it is a vibratone bell, it's a chime, it's a bowl. Many times it's really just listening to the sound until it disappears. I have found that specific sounds for specific grades is preferred. So my little guys really love my vibratone, which is a lower tone. I don't know how else to describe it. And my bowl's a little bit higher, and my 3 through 5 tend to like that. Plus the sound tends to go longer, and they're able to sit and regulate a little bit longer than my little guys. So after we have a grounding activity, it's very short because, again, I said I have 30 minutes that are scripted. We begin, and in that time that they're breathing, I might invite them to set an intention for the day, kind of like I did in our grounding practice, just to bring awareness of the purpose. When I start with new groups, the whole first time we're together, it's about interactive modeling of expectations of my group, what it looks like to walk in the hallway, to come into my space, goals that we have for ourselves, where they are now, where we want to move, feeling, building that relationship and that collaboration that we're a team working together. We're going to support each other within this time together, and not like making them feel insignificant. They're valued just as much as the gifted kids in the building. They have gifts just like everybody else, and not, and continuing to build them up is really, really helpful. So, and I get a lot more from them when you take time to build that. So I feel like there's always a rush in time, and teachers are always like, oh, I don't have time to do this because I have to get to this part of the lesson or whatever. I'm telling you right now, take that time and set those expectations in the very beginning, because it will pay off later. And it just happens. The kids look to that grounding when they come in my space. They love the lower lighting. You can see their shoulders drop as they come into my space. And it's just like, I'm going to be okay in this time, like I can kind of let go a little bit. So my space is different this year too, because, I have moved spaces for almost the last 6 years. So I'm getting really good at creating my space, which I absolutely am passionate about too. Like I would love to go into classrooms and say, let's do this, let's create a peaceful area. Like I just love that. So I share my space with 8 people. It's impactful. We have tutors that I share my space with, like surrounding the room on the out perimeter of the room. My colleague and I are separated by a wall in the back of the room. And it has been phenomenal. I found out of this change when I arrived to Omega this summer from my principal. It was actually on the street at Omega. He's like, I'm moving you to the computer lab. And I was like, oh, okay. Can I ask why? And he's like, well, we need the other classroom. I'm like, okay. And of course, my head went to what's this going to look like? You know, I went like monkey mind over it. And then I was like, you know what? I do it every year. New challenge, you know, great offer, great time to purge more. He's building us a wall. Okay, I'll look at the space. We'll see, you know. So I think Omega had a lot to do with my reaction, my response to him. I was like, it's fine. It'll be fine. It's okay. And he was like, thank you so much. He said, your colleague isn't taking this so well. I'm like, it'll be fine. So I really love my space. It's a little, it can get a little crazy at times, but in general, both my colleague and I are very mindful of each other. We're very observant of what our kids need, and it just works. We're both very different, but we respect how we're different, and it's not better or worse, it's just different. And she is always supportive, complimentary. I just love working with her. So I feel honored that I am in a space and in a school and with colleagues that I absolutely love. So getting back to my intervention time, I'm kind of like all over, I'm sorry. So during the intervention, you know, we have a set, usually pattern of what we do. It kind of stays the same. I try so much to express my, they're like corrections in a very positive light. So I'm like, oh, did you think about another vowel? Or I see something that needs to be changed. Can you find it? Instead of, you know, trying always to wrap it around in that positive package, but try not to fix it for them. I've realized in my own self-awareness as a teacher, and I'm still evolving with this, is that I'm very quick to fix it for them, and or not give enough pause time or wait time to see if their processing can then figure it out and fix it. I wear a pause button underneath on my chest every day to remind me to pause, to allow that wait time. And I think that's a great model for kids too. I feel like they are very impulsive right now and easily get dysregulated. So I feel like my modeling that pause and that time and that calmness during our time together. And if we get to everything, we do. If we don't, we don't. You know, some days we do, some days we don't. But what they're getting is quality, and they are going to grow with it. So I try not to stress out about the time and fitting it all in. I try to just give them as much as we need in that time. When we move to reading, anything that we read with the kids, or I choose to read with the kids, has some type of SEL or mindfulness piece embedded in it that I pull from. So anytime I can teach them about noticing a character or the illustration and what they're seeing, to bring their own self-awareness of how they're feeling or what their body is doing in relation to what this character's doing. Like very connected reading strategies and mindfulness. It's just such a beautiful relationship. And I'm trying to really move that direction and bring notice to the commonalities of like visualizing when you're reading a chapter book, but then noticing your sensations in reaction to reading about a character that might have just lost a pet. And it has been a game changer for my 3 through 5 grades and their motivation to read and stay engaged in the text. This past cycle, I had 2 fourth graders, and it was incredible because I only had 2 kids. It was just such a treat. I was like, you guys, I can't wait to get in this book. Like, it was, I cried at the end of the cycle because I have brought these kids from 2 lower decoding groups all the way to the point where they don't need decoding anymore, and they can't wait to read. And they can't wait to read and find patterns that they can read. So like, part of decoding is noticing the patterns. That's part of mindfulness, right? Like noticing your awareness. So bringing that and seeing that bigger picture with the kids and letting them know this is what we're working towards. There's such a love, there's so much that reading can bring to your own world, and the connections that you have is so impactful. Can you tell I'm passionate about it? So it's a direction I want to go to. I have spoken and given a presentation about mindful literacy, and I have a collection for our school of books that have themes, SEL themes in them. And it's just a great way, kind of incidentally, of bringing this presence to their world and increasing their self-awareness. The other piece that I feel is so important is that sometimes when it comes from us, it's judged more or taken in a certain way. When you're reading a book with a character that a student is connecting with, or I use my rat puppet Gilbert with my little guys, the voice and the space coming from the character or the puppet is very different than what I bring. And it sometimes takes the defensiveness or the personalization out of it. And the kids can embrace that a little bit more. Like some kids who really are like, kind of know what DI is about, have a negative attitude about it. That's how I get them to continue and stay motivated to continue to come with me. Even if they sit for like 5 or 10 minutes, it's okay. It's what they were successful, and we just kind of build on that. But using characters in books, my puppet has been for certain kids very, very helpful as well. At the end of my time together, we also ground again. It usually looks a little bit different. I don't usually use a bell. Sometimes I will, but I usually just say, let's settle into silence as our group is ending. Close your eyes if it's comfortable for you. And let's think about, our time together. Let's visualize something that you're proud of. Hold your heart. And let's stay connected to this positivity throughout the rest of your day, basically. So I want to, come down off that learning piece and kind of close that learning piece and leave them in a more positive or calm state as we then have a crazy transition back to their room. So that's kind of my day. But my day also is including seeing kids in the hallway, asking them what's up, what can I do for you? How can I help? Admin calling me, you have a relationship with this kid, could you check in with them? Absolutely. Modeling my presence and calmness in front of other staff when a student's really upset. I have this incredible ability to just stay calm when a kid is what we call popping off or flipping his lid or any of that. To the point where my colleagues have said, can you teach me how to do that? I'm like, you got to be able to embrace, be open. to a different mindset, to a different to a certain degree. So I have a set of colleagues, that we kind of get together and we just kind of sit at times. It doesn't happen consistently, but they know I'm there. I've also started protecting myself a little bit with my energy, because I have found that I'm a very compassionate person and I'm a fixer. So not only with kids, but with colleagues. So sometimes I will say, do you want me to just hear you? Are you looking for a solution? Is this a courageous conversation? What are you looking for in this moment? Because I want to be clear and give them my full presence and be really mindful of their time, as we have so much as teachers. So I have found that very helpful to protect my energy, and I feel much better with that. I was starting to kind of lose my own sense of being, at times, like taking on other people. And you can still kind of take it on, but not take it to that deeper level. It's hard to describe, but anyway. So that's kind of what I do. It's fun. It's always evolving. A lot of times I will do with the younger kids, I'll do a little emoji like check-in, like, where do you see yourself today? Or where's your weather today? To bring awareness to where they are. Because really that's what I'm trying to get these kids to really be mindful of, is their self-awareness, right? And it's hard. It's not always a comfortable place either. So you have to be respectful of that. But, it's fun to hear kids in the hallway or, on the playground. Oh, do you want to go sit on the bench and take a breath? Like, yes, it's going in. Yes, or another kid in my group saying, have you tried this? So I am building my confidence. I'm still not there. It's continuing, but I'm passionate and I love what I do. It's not easy, COVID has rocked our world as we know it. But I'm so grateful to be able to bring this evolved me to presence, be supported by district, be supported by my colleagues. And I know the challenges are going to continue, but I'm in a great space to be able to embrace them. And I keep my body in check, like exercising every day. That's a drug of choice. Having a practice every day is my drug of choice. And I know I can pick myself up on my bootstraps. This mindfulness journey I've been on has made me realize how strong I really am, even on those rough moments. So I always say I don't have rough days, I have rough moments. So instead of taking that whole day and making it negative, there's always something positive in that day. So yeah, you can have challenging moments, but look at your whole day overall. There's light in there. That's me.
Yeah. Speak. This is going to be so, I can't wait for educators to have this inspirational talk from you. I mean, you really are, you are a model and so you've been talking about kind of your evolution personally and professionally. Is there anything in the works up here that you have set intentions for upcoming?
Absolutely. So I would love to write a children's book about a little pencil that does beautiful and great things. So I had a student a few years ago who had a very tiny pencil and he wrote with that pencil. But what he did as a result of that pencil being small and just kind of like being encouraged to draw with it or whatever, he has evolved into this incredible kid. And I want to write a book about it. And then my other thing that I would love to navigate and collaborate with people on is the whole readings piece and mindfulness, like embedding reading strategies, taking those characters, books themselves. I have a serious addiction to kids' books and SEL type books, and like finding like it's better under control now than it used to be, but there's a lot of bookcases in my home, and my wife's like, when we move, like, honey, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, I'm trying. But, and it's funny because in second grade, I was traumatized by a reading group. I couldn't understand. I couldn't comprehend. So I just felt intimidated in my younger life, not knowing really what I was reading and whatever. And that's powerful stuff too. You know, as a second grader, I had to be pulled to this specific group and isolated. It was just crazy. But anyway, so I want to do research. Like, I don't even know how to begin that journey, but that is something that is on my bucket list. I want to continue to learn. I cherish going to Omega. I invite working with COSM and presenting for COSM again. I feel more confident right now, actually. And just, you know, pushing my boundaries with this, looking into TEL opportunities and really embracing more within my school district. I have a colleague, we kind of want to do some mindful creativity for kids. And, you know, I just want to share and provide a space to offer, you know, what I have to give and consideration in seeing mindfulness as a tool and life-changing journey, honestly.
And let me just add, since you brought up TEL, and not everybody might know about that. And Meena Srinivasan is a presenter for our conference as well on Friday, and she's executive director of Transformative Educational Leadership. And they have every other year, they do a year-long fellowship. And yeah, I hope you apply for it. I invite others at COSM to apply for it. I'm going to apply as well, because and there's scholarships available.
Yep, I'm going to try.
Great next step on the journey.
Yep.
Journey as educational leaders, which, like, you are that in your school. I mean, all teachers are leaders, but the role that you've taken with mindfulness in your district, and to continue to be that role model for your district and for others. So I thank you so much, Dina. I mean, do you want to close this out? Or are there any other practices fun practices that the students have you want to share? Or
sure.
Or maybe how about a few, since you have so many books too, maybe share just like 2 or 3 of like ones that your kids, your students.
Okay, so
I know it's gonna be hard to pick. But
I know. So one of them is called The Very Impatient Caterpillar. I wish I had them here. I could show you. They're in the other room, but The Very Impatient Caterpillar is one. The Snurch is another. Now, these are all picture books. And then I'm trying to think of a chapter book that I would, because those are both picture books, but the kids, like 5th grade, crack up with them. And I'm trying to think of another one. I might send you a list of my top 10.
Daniel Ruckshafen with his.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And my kindergartners, we will absolutely read that on occasion, on a Friday because it has it's like perfect. It has the alphabet and then it has the mindfulness breathing. So yeah, good stuff. So this last practice I call learning in love. It's typical of how I finish my groups that I was talking about before. So I invite everybody to sit in their space, tall in your chair, connecting to your breath if that's comfortable for you, and listening to the sound of the bell. Allowing this bell to be in your ear until you can't hear it anymore. Bring your attention with your hands to your heart. Possibly feeling that beat, knowing you are alive, you matter. And while holding your heart, I want you to whisper to yourself one thing that you loved that you did today while in our group. Whisper to yourself something that you loved and that you're proud of that you did today. I'm so proud I did this. And then continue to hold that sensation of love and proud throughout the rest of your day. Holding it in with one more deep breath. And exhale slowly. Releasing your hands into your lap and bringing your eyes open and awareness to our time and this space.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then it's like a mad dash to get out of the classroom upstairs.